So yesterday we went to see Alice Underground at the Royal Opera House as it was the dress rehearsal. I really enjoyed it. It was a very unusual performance, or unusual telling of the performance. Very chaotic, very quick, incredibly discordant with the singing, which was great. And there were a lot of funny bits which I liked, and it felt a lot like the books. They also went a sort of children's toy-ish kind of route. They had a Victorian puppet theatre set, so it kind of explained everything sort of sliding in and out, and like quick changes and costume bits and all this other stuff. So it was very, very well done. I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like it sort of lends more credibility to it sort of solidifies the idea I had for mine with the sort of toy theme, the doll theme. Sort of shows that it can be done. Obviously, I'm not doing the quick change route necessarily. Certainly not for Alice. But it's good to know that that's it's a good option. So I wasn't able to get much more done yesterday. Obviously I've had the fitting now, so I've got that all sorted. Today I've basically spent the afternoon redrafting the bodice block based on the notes I took on the fitting. I've also had a sort of quick think about which side of my upholstery fabric I want to use, because there's the right side of the fabric which has like a nice sort of velvety pile, but I worry is too rich or too dark, and I don't want it to look like a sofa. But on the flip side there's the back side, which is a lot more sort of plain but still has the pattern on it, but it's a lot paler. So I asked the opinions of some of the first years because they were about today. They reckon that the right side would be better rather than the wrong side, because something I hadn't really considered was that the white apron and the bib would be going over the top, and if it looks very washed out if I put it on the wrong side of the fabric. It just doesn't look as rich. So I think I think the right side of the fabric is the way to go, bearing in mind the amount of white I'm going to be having on this dress. I also some of the lace I ordered today, it's a cotton crochet lace. It's about I think it's about 10 centimeters wide. It is perfect. Unfortunately it's in black, because I didn't read the listing right and I can't seem to find the white version of the listing, so I'm going to message the seller and ask them if I can swap it out for the right colour. If not, I'll just reorder it in white, assuming they have it at all. But it's just a little bit annoying because that's 20 quid that I'm not going to get back potentially. I keep going through and doing samples of the crochet lace. The piping cord that I got from Fabricland the other day is unfortunately too thick. It just looks like I've started making it up, but it's very it's incredibly chunky, and I'm worried it's going to look too chunky against the rest of the dress, which is annoying. The sort of more preferable width that I got when I went a couple weeks ago, I started making that up, but I'm not going to have enough to make one side of the bow. Because what I'm basically going to, assuming I use this technique at all, I'm going to make the bow into two halves, and then just make the strand, make the strand long enough to sort of fold over on itself to make the bow bit, and then have a bit of ribbon or something to attach the two pieces together in the middle. So I'm only going to have enough to make one side of the bow, assuming it's the right, assuming I go forward with that, with the right, the more preferable thinner width, which is about I think 3 mil. I only have enough of that to make potentially only one side of the bow, if that. I'm likely going to run out before then. So I think I'm going to see about this white crochet lace, because that not only looks a lot better for the sort of effect I want to do, but I kind of want to use it on other pieces of the other areas of the costume, and I need that, or at least my money back. So I will look into that. I might bench the crochet lace for now, just because the more I work on it, the less I'm enthused with the idea. I can't really see it working out how I envisioned, so I'll maybe finish one of the strands I've got and then put it against the dress once I've got the bodice together, just to sort of see how I feel about it. And for the rest of today, I want to finish getting the bodice cut out. I have also realised that I need to, like the front, I've tried to have, because there's no sort of reflected pattern. There's still like filigree leaves. But I've tried to have the bodice I've cut out with like one of the filigree patterns in the centre, and it's not going to be seen because obviously there's going to be the apron bib in front of it, but still just for, you know, my own sanity, and also because I'm just sort of used to pattern matching everything now. The back is going to be a bit more tricky, and I'm going to try and pattern match that, but it's obviously going to be quite difficult because of how thick it is, and the width needed to make the button channel is probably going to be quite considerable, so I will have to measure carefully and figure out how I want to do that. I also had a quick chat with Emma about the skirt, so I did some quick maths over lunch about potentially doing like a half circle skirt or something, which is what I usually do for things like this, because I'm worried that if I just sort of have rectangles and then gather them up, that the hem will not have enough width to allow for the amount of petticoats I want underneath. So I had thought that I could do a half circle skirt, which won't take as much fabric, and just have like extra in the waist so that it can gather down a little bit. But then I got into the problem of like I'd have to cut it in two halves, and the waist is already quite considerably large from what I normally make, and the extra amount would mean the radius is absolutely huge, so it's likely that the sort of width of the fabric required won't be enough for the length of skirt that I want. So Emma instead suggested taking like 3 or 5 widths of fabric, of the fabric at the length that I need, stitching them together, and then sort of pleating them down on the mannequin, which will probably work a lot better in terms of placement and sort of just making sure that everything's even. Also need to leave larger pleats at the back, because obviously there's the bum to go over and everything. But I guess the good way of doing it that way is if I cut out 3, start pleating them down the mannequin, decide that that's not enough, I can then add extra at the centre back. I can add like 2 extra widths, which will give me a lot more fabric to work with, and the pleats will be quite big, but that's kind of what I'm going for anyway, so that's probably going to be a job for tomorrow. So if I can get the bodice together today, then tomorrow I can work on figuring out the skirt. I haven't gone and done the skirt lengths yet. I need to properly measure the ruffles on the bottom of the skirt, and also I did measure the base skirt itself, but I just want to make sure that I've got everything with the bodice done first before I start messing around with the skirts. Also, I had a quick thought about linings as well, so I was going to use the cotton I bought, because I have quite a lot of that, so that'll be a decent lining, just because the back side of this fabric is not rough, but I can see it being a little bit irritating, especially if there's like seams and stuff in there as well. So I'm going to line it. The side seams and the shoulder seams I'll probably have I'll just overlock the lining to the dress fabric on that side, and then that should be fine. Although thinking about it now, if I'm going to have buttons for the petticoat, I might need to double up the cotton to make sure that it's strong enough on the front of the bodice. So that's probably going to be something I need to think about as well, is because if I'm sewing buttons to the inside of the bodice for the petticoat to attach to, then I need to consider the strength of the lining, because it will mostly be stitched to that. I'm losing my train of thought. So I'm going to cut out everything, sew up the darts, overlock everything together, and then hopefully I should be in a good place tomorrow to start working on the skirt.